Okay, so today we're going to talk about a subject near and dear to our heart. We recently received a comment from a Tom Stevens who had this question.
His comment was, selling a household full of furniture and personal items to go on the road full-time must take a ton of time, a lot of emotional toll, and a need to store items of intrinsic value that can't be replaced. You might have already done a piece on these 3 things, but if not, I'd like to hear about it.
So today we're going to talk about that. So basically, when we had made the decision that we were going to live full-time RVing, we had to go through the process of deciding what we're going to do with all our stuff from our lifetime of living in sticks and bricks.
So I actually started the process of kind of downsizing about 6 months before Derek retired. I came across this author, Joshua Becker, who wrote a book called Simplify. And it's like a small book. I think it's 45 pages. And he just talks about like 7 principles to declutter your life. Highly recommend the book. After reading that, I just started going through all of the things we owned and figuring out, what we were going to either put in the Airstream, put in storage, take to Goodwill, throw away, or try to sell. When Tom was asking about the time that it takes a lot more time than you think. Say you have a garage and you're living in a house right now, and you go out to your garage and you look at all your bins. This is what I did. So you go out there and you look at all those bins and you think about going through every bin and that process of, is it going to go in the Airstream? Is it going to go, in storage? Like you have to pick up every piece of what you have and decide where it's going to go. And that part takes a long time.
So if you're thinking about going full-time, you want to think, when are you going to start going full-time, and when are you going to go through your stuff? If you think you're going to go through your stuff a week or 2 before you go full-time, and
not going to happen. You're going to put everything in storage.
Especially if you have a lot of stuff. We had a lot of stuff.
Okay, so to be honest here, I was
we
already...
weren't being honest?
Well, for you, I'm going to help with you. So I was already going through that and going through my things, but I couldn't go through his things.
Well, that's because I was still working, too. So I was working, she was at home.
Right, but, he had 3 days off one week, 4 days off the next, and I'd be like, babe, you probably should, start. And he's just like, it's not going to take that long. Look, it's just a few of this, and it's just a couple of that. And I'm just like, honey, it takes longer than you think. And I get it. He was still working. But I have a picture of him sitting in the bedroom, completely overwhelmed with, and there's just the floor is covered, the desk is covered. He's just looking at me and I'm like, I kind of tried to warn you. This was going to take a lot longer than you thought. So it is emotional to some degree as well to go through your things. And sometimes you have to part with things that maybe are special, but they're not necessarily something you want to keep, or you just bring back lots of memories. You're looking through things of people maybe who've passed away, they've given you things, and I don't know, it can be emotional. So I think trying to cram it all into even a month, your brain gets tired looking and thinking and deciding, how to handle, all of these things that you have.
One thing, for example, is she was talking about things that we're going to go through. For me, I had things from my childhood, like trophies from sports, or just baseball caps from the kids when I was in a minor league baseball team, or stuff like that. And I was like, am I going to keep this for the rest of my life? Do I want this? My kids definitely aren't going to want my stuff. So what I did, I just took pictures of them just to remember it. And then I tossed it. So that was one thing that you can do. It's parting with those things that you've kept for so long and then finally decided to get rid of. At the same time, it was very freeing to get rid of that stuff that's just sitting in a box. And to know that, your kids aren't going to want your stuff. That was something else that we had to go through.
We didn't know. I was going through stuff and I thought, I've got my daughter, and then I've got, 2 daughter-in-laws. And I thought for sure they're going to want, these decorations that I have, Thanksgiving, Christmas, things like that. And so I'm like, so hey, do you guys want these? And they're like, yeah, no, thanks, but no. In doing it, I thought, I'm glad I'm doing this now instead of my kids having to go through my stuff when I die. Dead. I don't want them to have to do that. It would be a burden for them to come into my house and just have to go through everything. So I'm going to try to just keep my life as minimal as possible so they don't have to go through my stuff. So the one thing I did do for our kids was I went through all of our pictures, that we had printed. Nowadays, everything's digital. It's not the same as when you used to take pictures on a roll and go to Costco and get them all printed up.
Costco. Right? Free Costco when you have to go drive those little...
the little photo booths.
Yeah, the little photo booths in a shopping
1 hour
center.
photo. Woo! We get our pictures back in an hour.
Yeah. Talk about technology.
Right. So I did go through all of the photos that we had printed over the years, and I made a photo album up for each of the kids, and then a box of kind of like mementos and photos that they could decide what to do with, so that at least that was done. I had already given them all their baby clothes that had saved over the years. I know, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of cute though, because our granddaughter does wear, dresses
Once in a
that our
while, they'll
daughter
find
wears.
something that they can give to their kids.
Yeah, and unbelievable. Like even those little like saltwater sandals, those things last forever. Like we have a pair that's like 35 years old. So those are great shoes. Anyway, so that was one thing that I did do for them.
So it sounds to me like, first off, make sure that you give yourself plenty of time. Start sooner than later.
Yes.
Make sure you do that.
Even if you do it, you're like, oh, we're gonna go full time in 4 or 5 years from now. If you start decluttering now, that process will just be even easier, when you get there. And it does become, like you were saying, more freeing. Like you realize you're not buying more stuff just to fill a space, and you have more money because you're not buying more stuff. And then that money that you would be using to buy more stuff, you can go places and do things and have experiences and make memories.
Adventures.
Instead of having stuff.
So that brings us to another thing that I think was really important. You'll go off in your lifetime and you buy furniture, right? You buy furniture for the house that you're living in. To make it match and all, and then getting rid of that furniture. Again, that was something we thought, our kids are gonna want this. Our kids have their own style, I can understand if you have kids that are in need of something, you give them as much as you can. But for us, it was like getting rid of furniture. We made the decision we sold some of it, we gave it Goodwill, some of it, we gave a lot of it away. We literally were like, okay, it gets old trying to have garage sales and that kind of stuff. Put it out on Facebook Marketplace for free. We put it out on the front yard next to the street. That stuff was gone fast. They took everything, including the signs.
Okay, that's a true statement.
They took everything.
I did have a little bit of an emotional attachment to some things. Like we did get rid of we gave our piano away that the kids had grown up playing, doing their lessons and stuff on. And that was a little emotional. And for some weird reason, I was like emotionally attached to this computer hutch that we had for years. Now, the only reason I can think maybe that I was attached to this thing was it was like, I would get up early in the morning and drink my coffee, and I was on the computer doing things there, and it was just like my like home office or something. So it's weird, like weird things will happen. Like you'll start going through things and be like, okay, why am I feeling emotional this piece of furniture? It's like you're closing that chapter and you're moving on to like a new stage in life, and it's just, you're gonna maybe experience some things like that, and I think it's normal. Or maybe I'm not normal.
Well, you're not normal, but you do get over it. You do get over that stuff, surprisingly. You get rid of something and maybe you're like, oh, and then like, a day, 2 days, a couple days, you don't even think about it.
You can always take pictures of these things and remember them.
What is this? You got a picture. What's this? Oh, it's a computer hutch I used to have.
Right? I still look back on him like, that was the best computer hutch ever. But I think it was Joshua Becker who wrote that book, Simplify. One of the quotes said, just because you loved it once doesn't mean you have to love it forever. It's okay to let it go and move on to the next thing.
One thing is, like with our storage unit, we keep things. Some things are kept for just winter, some are for summertime, and we'll go back to our storage and pull some things out, put some things away. Even with clothes, I have clothes. You'll buy jackets and shoes and stuff, and now you carry, because we're in an Airstream, we only have so much room, so you can only put so much stuff in there. Okay, so we are at our storage unit, and we have it's a 10 by 15 storage unit. We didn't necessarily need this size unit, but we keep ours very organized.
Lies.
We keep all our
Lies.
stuff in boxes and stuff, and it's just easy to keep on
It
shelves.
has the appearance of being organized.
Yeah, so we keep everything, so we can get into certain boxes. It's not all stacked up so you can't get to things, That's the way we keep it. But for us, and, all the years we've been together, this is what's the remainder
It's
of our
crazy
stuff.
to think that we have been together for since 1984, basically. Got married in 89. So all those years together, we literally have our Airstream and this 10 by 15 storage unit. That's it. And we don't even have, the only furniture we have in here is like a piece of furniture my dad gave me, and then like a small little table my dad gave me. And other than that, we have zero furniture.
And it's not even like that piece of furniture is like valuable. It's just more like of a family
It's
heirloom
sentimental.
type.
My dad passed away 9 years ago, and just a couple things he gave me I wanted to hold on to. So, yeah.
There you go. But some things are difficult to get rid of. So when we were going through our things,
This guy.
sometimes it's difficult to get rid of some things.
Sometimes.
I'll show you. So when I talk about things that I've kept, when I'm like trying to get rid of my stuff and I find certain things I just can't get rid of, like this phone right here. Who would want to get rid of this phone? It's totally awesome. What am I going to do with this? I'm going to need this cord for something. You know what I mean?
Honestly, he did a really good job going through and getting rid of things. So I felt like I had to give him some leeway to have a few extra things that he really felt like he couldn't part with yet. And then there's usually the other person in the relationship that's more able to just really downsize and be minimal and get rid of stuff. So, you kind of have to just work together and make compromises, I guess.
Yeah. She's saying that that's just me, which, by the way,
That's not
I
even
opened up a
mine.
box. Yeah.
That's not mine.
She opens
I don't
up a
even know
box.
whose
She
that
sees this
is.
little watch. She goes, "Whose is that?" I'm like
It's
it
not
was mine.
This is so tiny. My wrist would never fit this. I think it's Haley's.
No, this is my point. It's not just me trying to get rid of
There's
stuff.
two of them. There's this really cute one here.
So it's hard to get rid of some stuff. But if we just threw everything in one corner, emptied all these boxes, we'd probably use a third of this storage unit.
Then you have things that are completely vintage that you cannot part with. And this, most people don't even know, these youngsters. It's a cassette tape of his band. Does anybody even have cassette players in their car anymore?
I can't get rid of that. It's still sealed.
We got to keep it. It's sealed in plastic. I mean, so there are some things that are genuinely, you just got to keep them forever. Yeah.
All right, to summarize, the steps we took to get ready to go full-time are...
First, I would say read books, watch videos on how to declutter and minimize your life to get ready.
Okay, next. This is going to take a lot longer than you think.
So get started now. It's never too early to start.
Next, let your family decide if they want to keep any of this stuff. Let them go through it, because you never know. They might have some emotional connection to something that you might want to get rid of, and you don't want to have that problem down the road. So let your family go through your stuff first before you get rid of it.
Yeah, that way you don't have hurt feelings too. If you're like, hey, you want this? And they're just like, no. I think it saves everybody's feelings maybe a little bit.
All right, next, break all your stuff up into different categories.
So what we did when we started going through everything is we had the things that were going to go with us in the trailer, things that we were going to store. Then we had the things that we were going to either give away, throw away, or try to sell. So those were like our 5 main categories that we tried to put everything in. And that seemed to work for us. So Tom, thank you for the question. Hopefully we were able to answer that for you.
Yes, and if you have any other questions about preparing or anything about full-time RVing, just let us know. Leave them in the comments below, and we'll get back to you. And just to give you a little heads up on our daughter and her baby, she, as of
February 24th.
She has not had her baby yet.
No, she's due in 6 days.
And
So any day now.
Yeah, it seems like every day it feels like, oh, it's going to come today. You know?
And then I wake up in the morning and I'm like, it hasn't happened yet.
We'll keep you
Soon.
informed of what's going on with that. If you like this video at all, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. We just want you to know we appreciate each and every one of you. We'll keep you informed on what's going on with us. So until the next video, take care of yourself. Be safe. Be a good human. Peace.